Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donley Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donley Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. We are here every Saturday from 1 to 2 o'clock p.m. Hi, I'm Susan, and I'm here with Randy Donley. We are the owners of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. Folks, we're just located 60 miles west of Chicago, and we're here today to talk about our annual Fall Classic that we just held last week, and to give you a better idea of what items sold for at auction and to see if you have anything at home that you might want to sell at one of our auctions as well. Good afternoon, Randy Donley.
Hey, hi, Susan.
How was Thanksgiving?
Hey, it was great.
Thanksgiving's over.
Yes, it
Thank
is.
Goodness. Time for Christmas
another holiday
shopping.
in the books, right?
I know. Mm-hmm. Time for some rest before we get started again, because that was a huge auction. 4 days, the annual Fall Classic. We've been talking about it on the show the last few weeks, and I thought you might want to give us some highlights.
You know, I will eventually. But, you know, what I really want to start with is, some of the things that we are constantly looking for. I always like to get this in because this hour flies by. And I get off the air saying,
time flies when you're having fun. I know.
I wish we would have said this. I wish we would have said that. So what I want to do is mention that last week, I was on the air live with Sean Thompson, our friend from the Sean Thompson show, of course. And we had a woman called in and said, hey, I've got a big sign in my garage off of an old restaurant. And, of course, that's exactly the type of things we're always looking for. So if I don't start out by asking for it, then like I say, the hour flies by and we forget. And there's so many signs out there, Susan, that have been taken down off of buildings, and they're in people's garages, they're in warehouses and everything. And, of course, signs do always extremely well, Well,
tell us about the sign that walked in at the last second. The auction was like in a couple days. And a guy walked in with a huge sign. I said, you want to get this in? And you said, absolutely, let's do it. So we cranked it out.
You heard us on the radio,
yeah.
So thank you, folks, for listening. It was a vintage Chevy sign, probably from the 1940s. Porcelain, double-sided.
4 foot in diameter, right? Big sign.
Mm-hmm. It was a nice big sign. And it brought really good money.
It sold for $4,250.
No, it sold for more than that.
Was it more than that?
Look that up.
I was looking up the golf sign. I was talking about the golf sign.
The golf sign is another story.
Oh, it is.
A big porcelain double-sided golf sign, brought some really, really good money. A gentleman had called, again, listening to the radio. He calls us, and he said, Randy, there's a guy in my garage right now that wants this sign. And I said, what's he offering? Because if he's offering good money, I'm going to say sell it, right? I'm not trying to force people to auction everything. If you get a good offer, what the heck, sell it. But he said, well, he's offering me $1,500 cash, Randy, cash. and I said, well, guess what? I said, we'll do at least double that. I said, tell him thank you, but no thank you, and send him on his way. And that brought, $4,250, $4,250. I mean, okay, so take $1,500 or sell it at auction for $4,250.
So now, take notes.
But the other one, the Chevy sign brought what, like
$8,000.
$8,000, yeah.
Right. It's a 42-inch porcelain sign. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Hit some rust on it, but we weren't even going to clean it or anything. It looked great.
It had its problems. It had its dings and dents and rust and everything. He had just dragged it out of a garage, but the point is, that's what happens at auction.
That's right. We had thousands and thousands of bidders online. We had a full house. It was so much fun. I had phone bids going like crazy, one after the other. It was really a fun auction. If you missed it, don't worry. We're going to do another one like this in January. We're going to talk about that in a minute, too. But I know you had some other things you want to touch on.
Well, I wanted to ask you what on earth we were watching a show on
Oh,
TV.
yeah, because I get to control the remote. So my choice for shows the other night was on Netflix. I don't know, maybe Prime Video. And it was a documentary about the automat.
Automat, yeah.
And I thought maybe Randy would want to see this with me. Well, sure enough.
Well, what I
We've
loved
been talking about it ever since.
What I loved about the automat, and folks, I mean,
tell them what it is.
We've all seen automats in movies and everything else. If you're not from New York or Philadelphia, it was the only two cities the automat took place, which was a restaurant that you would put in, a nickel. Or, everything was in nickels. You had to put in nickels in the slots, and you could open a little window and get a piece of pie or a sandwich or what have you. It was a quick service, started in 1902
no
and
tipping.
everything.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing it up because as I'm watching this show, every time they showed a different location, it was like, oh, I want that sign. The signs hanging out in front of them were fabulous.
Yes.
And so, again, we're not just looking for automotive signs. We bring that up all the time because there's so much money in automotive signs, but any good porcelain signs or neon, or even old signs with light bulbs, what we might refer to as stud lighting all the way around it and everything. Internally lit signs, we're looking for it all.
Well, we had that beautiful shooting gallery neon sign at the auction. How did that do?
Oh, that was pretty big money, too. I think that went over $6,000,
Yeah, that was a nice sign.
But, folks, we're talking signs right now that are $4,000, $5,000, $10,000. There are signs. There are plenty of signs out there that can bring $100,000. You need to send us photos.
Right.
Tell them where.
Send us photos to consign@donleyauctions.com.
Yep.
Send us photos. Tell us where you're at. What do you have? And we will definitely give you a call back or respond with your next steps.
Yeah. So you've got to be so careful because when I'm telling you there's signs for 100,000, I kid you not, there's loads of them. And just like the gentleman, says, should I take 1,500? No, we tripled his money. The same thing could happen. Somebody might walk in and offer you 5,000. You say, oh, I heard Randy on the air, and he's always talking the numbers 5,000, and you're selling a $100,000 sign. You have to check these things out.
Right. And tell me a little bit about neon signs. Do they have to be in pristine condition for us to sell them?
No, and neon doesn't even have to be working
That's what
in them.
thought. Just want to make sure.
Again, I've known so many people that just junk stuff because it doesn't work, especially neon. They see the glass broken and everything, and they say, well,
don't throw it away.
Yeah, well, this is junk. Yeah. Not the case at all. All this can be repaired and very easily, actually. There's some really great people out there. For example, Hughes Signs is one of my all-time favorites right in Crystal Lake. Hughes Signs, they do extremely good work on neon. So
that's right. And you know what? Some of my favorite things that sold at the auction were those pinball machines. Everybody comes out from the Chicagoland Coin Op show for coin-operated machines, and we had a huge selection of pinballs and slot machines. Tell us a little bit about how well the pinball machines did.
Oh, pinballs did good. I mean, the selling price of pinballs, I don't think anything sold, under $1,000.
Oh no,
but pinballs the sweet spots seem to be $2,500, $2,500 to $3,500. And again, these are machines that are sitting around in basements that in your homes they become a clothes hamper. You get you get tired of using them, and if I bet right now there's plenty of you that if you walk downstairs and look at your pinball machine right now, it's loaded up with a big pile of clothes and junk and everything else, and I kid you not, we make this fit in your wallet.
That's right.
our mantra here.
I know we had one of our consignors, we will not mention any names, who was calling us so worried about selling one of the pinball machines. And we had it. We had bids on it and everything. She says, Randy, sell it now. I want to buy it. Just sell it. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to sell it before the auction because we have confidence that it's going to go for more. And
Right.
sure enough, she was so excited when she saw the final price of her pinball machine.
Yep, they did very well.
Yes, they sure did.
So pinballs is something we're still looking for because we'll be selling those again in January. So it's not too soon to call us. We need your merchandise now so that we can get it in catalogs and ads and promote it for you.
That's right. And one of the things we're going to talk about in our upcoming segments here is the January auction, because we just got a date confirmed, January 20th and 21st. So don't go anywhere, folks. We want to talk about some specific items we're looking for that one. Also coming up in the show, we're going to talk about our next auction, December 16th and 17th, firearms, ammunition, and military relics. It's going to be a great one. 2 full days. I think we have about 1,000 lots. But don't go anywhere, folks. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, co-owner of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We're just 60 miles west of Chicago, folks. Did you come out to the annual November Classic? We had hundreds of people there. We hope you were one of them. If not, we're going to be doing another one like that coming up in January. But first, I want to touch base real quick. One of the items that we sold on Saturday were hundreds and hundreds of lots of coins. Please tell everybody how we did with the coin auction on the 17th.
Well,
or
the
18th.
coins did very, very well. You know, one thing we are not known for is coins. Donley Auctions, for years and years, turned coins down. You know, I was specializing in mechanical antiques and, phonographs, music boxes,
advertising
jukeboxes.
cards.
Things that we were known for forever. And people were constantly calling me, well, what about my coin collection? And I'd say, well, find a coin dealer. Well, we hired one.
Yes,
and
we have an expert.
Ryan is fabulous at this, and so he has been taking coin consignments, and they did extremely well. And for this reason, you know, so many people turn in their coins for scrap silver and gold, you know, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. But they're forgetting that a lot of this stuff is actually worth more numistically, being a coin, you know, a rare coin by date, you know, and condition and everything else. So when you turn in your coins, you have to be careful, you know, is it really worth just scrap, or, you know, are they worth more as coins? So again, the audience that we have looking at it from all over the country, all over the world, you can get some much
decent
better
money.
prices doing it that way.
Well, let me tell you a couple of the highest price items that we did have at the auction. It was very good. I thought a 1903 S $10 Liberty Head Gold Eagle coin sold for $900. They were right around in the $900 range, those Liberty Head Eagle Gold coins.
It's not unusual when you're talking
right.
gold coins, you know, certainly just because of scrap alone. They go $1,000 on up to $2,000, $3,000, you know, for $20 gold pieces and so on. So, again, what I'm always cautioning people is, you know, if it is worth more than scrap, the only way you're going to find that out, you know, is at an auction. And I shouldn't say that. There's plenty of reputable coin dealers out there.
Yes.
So, you know, you can normally trust. You go online and you look for coin dealers and you'll find reputable ones. You know, follow listings. When people write reviews, you want to read those reviews because, you know, the reviews will tell you there's people that are scoundrels and there's people that are really good in every field. So you can go to a coin shop, but if you would like us to auction coins for you, we are certainly doing well at it.
So please give us a call at 815-923-7000 or send us an email at consign@donleyauctions.com. We'll put you in touch with Ryan. And what I loved about this coin collection that we had, there were several consignors. Ryan spent a lot of time meeting with them one-on-one, reviewing everything with them, making sure they understood what they had, what the value was. I think he really enjoyed that part of his job.
Oh, I do.
He did a great job. Thank you, Ryan.
He's a people person for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. So one of the things, we're going to bounce around a little bit today, but one of the items I want to touch on real quick, not an item, but we just listed our auction in January. January 20th and 21st is going to be cars and antiques. And I just saw some information on it yesterday, Randy. Tell us about some of the cars that are coming up in January.
Oh, we've got a couple really beautifully restored Model A's. Again, a Model A Roadster, 31 Model A Roadster that has, just a fabulous restoration on it.
Well, what I want to talk about is the Chevy that's in my garage right now. What a beauty that is. That can stay in there for all time if you want.
Yeah. Again, beautifully restored pickup truck.
It's so cute.
A Chevy. What is it? A 54, I think.
It's a 54. It's candy apple red.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's coming up in January.
And then the restoration on this is a custom. I mean, so it's got a beautifully done interior. Again, candy apple red was certainly never a color in 54, but this is exactly the way you want to acquire this vehicle today. It's ready to go and ready to put on the road.
You want to say how we acquired that one, huh? I loved it. They were just so excited to bring it out to us when they found out that we were going to do another auction in January.
You bet. And the January auction is pretty much a repeat of our November. It really is. Same type of items that we're looking for.
High-end antiques. We've got some coin-op machines. We've got popcorn machines, coffee grinders. I saw something Mike had gotten at one of the Chicagoland show. That's a great item. Tell us about that.
Well, again, that's a big advertising trade sign, a big, huge metal mortar and pestle with an eagle on top of it. Again, these are signs that would have hung in front of an old drugstore, back at the turn of the century. Just great items, signs of all kinds and description are always items that we're looking for.
That's right. So we're still looking for consignments for our January auction. It is not too early, especially with the holidays coming up, with Christmas around the corner. Everybody's got things they're working on, but you need to consign stuff for us to the January auction as soon as possible. And again, give us a call at 815-923-7000, or you can send us an email at consign@donleyauctions.com.
Well, Susan, we talked about the November auction that we just held, and then we kind of just jumped right over to the January auction. We haven't talked much about
we never
December.
stop. We keep going. We have auctions every month.
Well,
so.
I understand, but we're not talking about December. We're not.
We'll get to December too, because we never stop. That's for sure. So the November auction's over. Of course, we're going to have one in December. I did touch on that a little bit. The Guns and Military auction is December 16th and 17th. I'll let you talk about that. And then, of course, the next one in January, because we want people to consign to that one. That's why I wanted to get to that quickly.
I got you. Yeah, you're right. We are taking consignments for January, whereas December is pretty full.
December's pretty full. Again, let me give you a little bit of a rundown on what we have coming up in December. Again, it's December 16th. We have almost 600 firearms alone on that Saturday. I'm just blown away because they just keep flooding in the door.
Well, yes, and we've cut that off now for that auction, so we're already taking consignments for February,
the next firearm auction. But we're still taking consignments for military items for December.
We are, yeah, certainly. Now, here's what happens, Susan. We've got so much in guns and ammo that what we're planning now is a 2-day auction for guns and ammo. So one day, Sunday or Saturday, is going to be guns only.
Right.
And then Sunday is going to be ammunition, reloading equipment, items like bows and arrows, sportsman's, equipment and everything. So that's day 2. So the military, we're actually adding a whole nother auction in December for military alone because, we've got to do, we don't want to make these auctions so ridiculously long that people have to stay till midnight.
Right. So those of you coming out for the firearm auction on Saturday, you get to come back again for another donut on Sunday morning.
Hey. but right.
Fun.
So December, what is it, 16th and 17th?
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday.
Will be guns and
most importantly, the firearms are online already. I got those online, on top of doing the November auction. My job is to make sure we get this information out to all of you folks so you can look at the catalog. So go to our website at donleyauctions.com, and you'll see our gun auction listed there, and it'll say online catalog. So you can get on there today and start looking at what we have. And, they'd make some really good Christmas presents.
Oh, yeah. That is our next holiday coming up. We just finished Thanksgiving.
That's right.
On to Christmas now. Christmas presents. Here we go.
That's right.
So, what else we've got coming up? Let's talk about other items that we're looking for, Susan.
Okay.
We're always still looking for more Petroliana.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in the next segment, too, because I want to touch on the vintage electronics. Remember, we always want to talk about that.
And
those are extremely valuable nowadays.
But also how well that gas pump sold at our last auction.
That was a good one, too. So don't go anywhere, folks. We got all kinds of things to talk about during the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer. We'll be back, too, with Shauna with an update on the Donley Group. Thanks for listening to us again on AM 560, The Answer.
You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, and I'm here with Randy Donley. We're of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. And Randy, I had a quick question for you. I'm just curious, what was your favorite item that sold at the auction in November that you thought, we'll probably get good money for it, but then it went for way more?
Well, I have to say, I think the steam engines, of course. The big, huge steam engines that we had. You always wonder, are we finding the right market? Now, we did put full-color ads in all of the proper trade magazines and everything for them. So steam engines, steam generators sold for huge money, but they're big, huge items to move.
Tons.
They 30,000 pounds one of these pieces weighed. And there was a steam engine that is a Hoadley steam engine, which went much higher than I thought it was going to go. But, we always say it only takes two people.
Right.
And I think there were only, at the end, there only were those two people bidding it, back and forth, both phone bidders and battling it out. And it was a great piece. So you just never know what's going to sell.
Good. Interesting.
Always
everything. Curious to see what we're always shocked about. I can't believe it went for that much.
Yeah.
I love that about our auctions for sure.
Big heavy items, folks. What does it say? Big or small, we do it all.
That's right. We sure do. So if you do have anything big or small, give us a call at 815-923-7000.
Right. And Susan, some items coming up that I'm still looking to add for more collections is, folks, if you have anything in early aviation, and I'm not looking so much for paperwork or photographs or anything, unless they're really rare photographs, then who knows. But I'm not, again, I'm looking for the items themselves.
Like an airplane?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why not, right?
Would I take a biplane? We've sold aircraft before,
yes, we
folks.
Have.
So if you have a biplane or parts to one, like an old radial engine and things, these things turn up all the time. And a World War II aircraft. I remember when I was a kid out by Palwaukee Airport, there was a surplus store right across the street, and they had a couple old Navy planes with the wings folded up. They were for sale right across from the airport. And boy, would I love to get my hands on something like that.
You never know.
Upcoming military auction. The stuff is out there, and we just have to keep asking and reminding you, if you know of something, let us know.
Right, because you never know. If you don't hear the show this week and we mention again next week, we're bound to find somebody who has heard about us talking about aviation.
Right. We've got some great aviation items already in-house.
Yes.
So
we're working
as
a matter of fact.
And so we don't have the date picked yet, but it's coming up. So you need to get a hold of us if you've got early aviation.
Randy wants an airplane.
Chicago was a hub in the early years. Back in, the 1910, 1911, 1912, there were actually air shows held here showing off aircraft. People, were looking at airplanes for the first time in their life. I mean, there was no such thing as commercial flight. These were all just one-time experimental airplanes that they were flying at that period of time. And Chicago was That'd
be great. Well, let me give you the phone number again, just in case, 815-923-7000, or email us at consign@donleyauctions.com. If you have any photos, we'll show Randy and we'll get back to you with next steps. But one of my favorite auctions coming up next year, because it's in my generation, is vintage electronics.
Well, when we're talking about vintage electronics, that particular auction, Louis DePasqua, who is our music expert, is putting together. So it's not just early electronics, Susan. What this is going to be also is music. Louis right now, I mean, he just picked up...
Like musical instruments, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Musical instruments. Thanks for clarifying that. Louis just picked up a synthesizer. Say that 10 times fast. Right. Synthesizer, a Moog.
It's a mini Moog, M-O-O-G. It's a mini Moog, and it is fabulous, and it sounds so good. If you guys know what we're talking about, you got to come see this thing.
Well, if you know what we're talking about, then you know what we're looking for.
Yes,
that's the whole thing. For sure. Trying to describe it or explain it on the radio, we're right now looking for the people that know what these things are, and that is early guitars. I mean, well, not necessarily early guitars, early, modern, you name it. I mean, obviously the Gibsons, the Martins, I mean, big names, guitars, banjos, musical instruments of all kinds.
All my band member friends that I know out there in the Chicagoland area, I know you guys have guitars that you want to sell. Come on.
Susan, I was just picking up some violin strings in a guitar store the other day, and a guy is standing there saying, "Oh, I've got these old Martins in my bedroom. I just don't know what to do with them."
Oh my gosh!
And I was not about to butt in and say, "Hey,
here's my card." I would have done that. Hand him the card and walk away.
It was tempting.
You never know.
It was
tempting.
Know.
But yeah, so we're going to have some musical instruments in addition to vintage electronics coming up early next year. I cannot wait to see what kind of crowd that one's going to bring in. Whew, it's going to be fun.
Talk to Louis.
815-923-7000. Call us. We'll give you next steps. Coming up next, I believe we're going to try to get Shauna on the phone to get an update on the Donley Group, which she is heading up. I'm sure she's working very hard out there in real estate land. But don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour.
And now, more of the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560. The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. Thanks for sticking with us during that break. I'm Susan, co-owner of Donley Auctions, here with my partner, Randy Donley. And we have Shauna Donley on the phone with us today, giving us an update on the Donley Group. Good afternoon, Shauna.
Hey, Shauna.
Hi there. How are you guys?
We're great.
I want to first, be that proud dad who... brags about his daughter, because so many people, Shauna, call me and tell me what a great job you're doing, how easy and nice it is to work with you. So, again, I just want to publicly thank you for everything you do for us with the Donley Group. But, sweetie, tell me right now, I'm hearing people constantly saying to me, I don't want to sell right now because of interest rates are going up and everything else. Is that really such a big factor why people would not want to sell?
Well, I think it's more of a factor why people don't want to sell versus people not wanting to buy. So, for example, currently more than 50% of all homeowners have their homes paid off more than 50%, which means they have more than 50% equity in their homes. So if they're going to sell, and more than likely they have a low interest rate. A lot of people either purchased or refinanced in the 2020, 2021 era where you have historically low interest rates around that 2.5% to 3.5%. So what I'm telling homeowners right now is if they don't want to sell because they're afraid of maybe now that the winter's coming in and they're not going to be getting the best price for their home because things are sitting on the market a little bit longer, buy another house. I'm working with several clients right now that want to wait to sell their current home. Not only is inventory still historically low, so they're having trouble finding the new house, but they don't want to sell and then either have nowhere to go or sell and trade that low interest rate for a higher rate. So I'm working with home buyers right now that are buying a second home and then they will sell what they currently own when prices go up next year.
You know, you just mentioned, though, that inventory is sitting longer, because of higher interest rates. But, boy, you sure haven't witnessed that because the homes that I know you've been selling have been selling almost ridiculously fast, I think.
Well, I try to always set expectations properly with my sellers. I don't like taking listings where a seller is not educated in the market and has unrealistic expectations about their home value. Zillow has always been kind of a problem with their Zestimate where, several realtors may come in and interview with you and tell you, okay, your house is worth $400,000, but then the Zillow Zestimate says $495 or $485. And so the seller is doing their own research and they have an unrealistic expectation of where that house should be selling. So I always work with my clients. We set a game plan about how we're going to price a house. And what we typically do, especially in this market, is price it at or below a real market value, which brings in tons of people. And we have been getting multiple offers even in this market.
Wow.
That is great information.
It's always important for us to mention because people are listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right now. And we're not talking about auctioning their houses. We're talking about you with the Donley Group selling their houses outright.
That's correct. So my team and I work with At Properties, which is we also own Christie's International Real Estate, and we have partners in all 50 states where we can help you go on the public market, the private market, and list your house, conduct the showings, and do a traditional sale. We always have the option to auction a property if that's the route you'd like to go. And for some people, that's the right way to go. But I still recommend doing what we do best, which is exposing your house worldwide to buyers everywhere. And we do tend to achieve the highest prices for our clients.
That's fabulous. Now, so many people out there have contacted us to sell their antiques. And we love selling antiques for everybody, especially large collections and everything. And that's how we normally meet people about, well, gee, what are you doing with the real estate? And then, of course, we turn it over to you. But I do want to remind people out there that we're always looking for large collections, and we can help you with the real estate also.
That's right. Sean, I had a quick question. So people you're suggesting who are buying a second house, what are they doing with the original house? Are they able to rent it out? And is that something you can help us with too, is renting out the home until they sell it?
Absolutely. So like I had said, these are people who tend to have a lot more equity in their homes or have seriously low interest rates or both. And they're just not seeing the value in doing a one-for-one sale, a sell and a buy at the same time. Timing doesn't always work out. So they might stay in their current home while they are trying to buy and doing a slow move, getting their current house ready for sale in the springtime, because the spring market is always hot. Or we can always rent your house as well. That happens also when, a seller needs to get more equity out of their home than the market might dictate. But speaking of the spring market, we have some predictions for the 2024 home prices. Ooh, and Fannie Mae is predicting that home prices will rise on average in 2024, 6.7% across the board. So when you think about that, that's huge. Even in 2020, 2021, 2022, home prices did not go up quite that much. In different markets it did, but nationally they did not. So that's a huge prediction, which is great for our sellers with a lot of equity. And it's something for buyers to keep in mind. You might want to get in now while this winter market, cooler temperatures mean cooler prices in a lot of markets, and it's a great time to buy.
Wow, Shauna, thank you so much. That is fantastic information, folks. If you need to get a hold of Shauna, you can check our website at donleyauctions.com. There is a tab there called the Donley Group. You can reach Shauna direct. Shauna, thank you so much for joining the show today. We'll talk to you soon. And for those of you, thanks for listening to the Donley Auctions Hour. We're here every Saturday at 1 o'clock on AM 560, The Answer. We're not done yet, folks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. We're talking about items that sold very well at our annual November Fall Classic. And Randy, one of the items, several items that went very well at the auction was Petroliana.
Well, that's because so much of it falls into advertising. When you think about, we had a restored Fry gas pump that, hit like $6,000 or better. And, but that's an advertising item also. It had a Shell gas globe up on top of it. And advertising has always done well.
And that's the Fannie, what's the model on that one? Mae West.
Mae West.
The Mae West model. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, and that's because of the shape. It looks like.
Yes, of course. We did talk about that once.
And here, we had a cast iron, large cast iron eagle that used to be advertising a Case Tractor Company. And, it hit, how much?
What did that go for?
11,000 or something?
Something crazy.
Well,
it was
it's not crazy, Susan. These are prices people are willing to pay.
That's right. If it's something they want, they'll pay for it.
It's never crazy, the amount. I mean, crazy if you think you're going to get less. I mean, the owner told us, can you please get me 5,000? This is a big, heavy item. I really don't want to drag it around anymore, and it goes for 11,000. So, right. I mean, that's what we can do.
I know. That's what we do for everybody.
People. It's just always fun. I mean, the gas globes went extremely well. There was just the flame, the flame top from a Standard Oil globe. It goes for, over $1,000.
Great items.
Yeah. Great.
So again,
money.
the reason we're bringing this up is we're looking for more items like this for our January auction.
Yeah.
It's going to be just, I don't want to say general antiques. It's going to be like general good antiques and cars and motorcycles. It's like another November classic, but on a smaller scale.
Right. But no furniture. We don't want to do furniture.
Oh my gosh, no furniture, please.
And just when we say that, though, that Carpin did pretty well. I mean, heavily carved furniture still does good. Look at what the bookcase sold for. That bookcase, did triple its estimate.
Yeah,
it was
that's
huge,
right.
Huge money. So good carved furniture, carved to death furniture always sells well.
Yeah, we are still taking coins and jewelry, vintage clothing. We've got some great coin-op machines, slot machines.
In this last auction, carousel horses did extremely well.
They sure did.
Carousel horses have been, pretty flat lately because, it's a supply and demand situation. A lot of supply out there, very little demand. There's less and less carousel collectors, so carousel horses have been down. But this last week did extremely well.
It did great. It was a fun auction. Again, if you couldn't be there in person, which we always recommend, it's free admission, and we've got complimentary food and drinks. What other reason you need? Come on out to Union. No traffic. But you can also bid online, in person, at our website. We have a button on there that says upcoming auctions, and you just click on that button, and it'll take you to our bidding platform. So you can bid right online from the comfort of your own home. But again, keep in mind there is an extra fee for the convenience of bidding online. However, I always like to recommend absentee bids. Call our office at 815-923-7000 if you want to put an absentee bid in for our upcoming December auction, for example. Or for items that are valued over $500, I would be happy to do a phone bid for you because I would be bidding on your behalf as if you're sitting right here in the audience. So many ways to bid at Donley Auctions. We'd love for you to come out to Union, Illinois. Again, send us emails at consign@donleyauctions.com. And tune in next week. We'll have some more information. For now, I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donley. And we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonleyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonleyAuctions.com.